Okay, so let's talk cost and revenue, okay? So cost, we have $15 per night plus the $600 up front, right? So it gives you that function. It gives you the revenue function. Remember, cost, we're spending money. Revenue, we are getting money. We need to look at a system of linear equations. So we talked a lot about the break-even point on our warm-up. We talked about profit on our warm-up. We are going to look at the break-even point here, and we're going to call it a system of equations. It's the exact same thing that we did on warm-up. We're just going to call it a system of equations, okay? So let's look at C. So literally, we are going to take the same exact equations. We just want to use the same variables so that we can look at them on a graph. So it's going to be y equals 15 per night plus 600. And then for revenue, y equals 75 per night. Okay? And then if we want to find the break even, we're going to have several options of how to solve this, okay? So essentially what a system of equations is it's two equations, two or more equations, both having x and y, okay? We want to figure out where these two equations meet. Where do they overlap? What do they have in common? Okay? So if you remember thinking about, so connect to prior knowledge, right? Think about what we had when we were doing systems of inequalities. We looked at the overlap of the shaded areas, right? So since these are not inequalities, we don't have the shading anymore, but we can look to see where the lines themselves overlap. So let's look at page. Okay, so for C, we have a y-intercept of 600. Okay. And then we have, what was the slope for that one? For the first equation? $15. Okay, so luckily for us, it's going to go up 675, 7. Oh, no. No.
So for
No.
it's going to be at 75.
Yeah, so at 3, it would be up 75, right? So that would be going up 15. Go over 3 more, and I'd go up 75 more. All right, so there we go. So this is our cost. Okay, and then our revenue started down at the bottom, right? But it went up 75 per night, right? Okay, so my y-intercept was nothing, but I'm going up 75 per night. Let's see, are we going to meet?
No, we're
Uh-oh.
not. Uh-oh.
Did I mess something up?
Somewhere, sometime.
Well,
Maybe at the next.
how did that happen?
That's really pretty.
So it's going to match right there, right? If I extend out this line
Yeah, they're going to meet
at 11, 12.
12.
So after 12 days is where they would intersect on the graph, okay? All right, so essentially what we're looking at here is break-even point. If you go to like the basic skill level, all we are literally doing is graphing two equations on the same line, seeing where they cross, okay? So let's practice basic skill level on three. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a couple of them to do. Let's do 10, 11, and 14. Let's do 10, 11, and 14. Go ahead. Okay, let's look here. So top line, I have a y-intercept of positive 3. Oh, let me get my pen, so the highlighter. Y-intercept of positive 3 with me, please. Slope of negative 1. It is a good idea, okay? It is a good idea to put as many points on these graphs as you can, because about 98% of the time, they're going to meet at one of those ordered pairs. Okay, so there's line 1. Line 2 has a y-intercept of 5 and a slope of positive 1, so I'm going up 1, left 1. And it looks like I can see that they meet right here. Right, so I am interested in the point where they cross. So what is that ordered pair? That is left 1, up 4. So -1, comma 4. So just graphing it is not enough. Okay? Just graphing them is not enough. You have to identify the ordered pair where they cross, because every assessment, every problem needs an answer, right? Just like when we were talking about the break-even point. We couldn't just graph them and show, and just like leave it at that, right? We had to say at, how many sofas did it end up being? 30 sofas, I think. It was 30 sofas, it finally broke even, right? So we need to actually state that ordered pair where they cross. All right, let's look at number 11. Okay, y-intercept of +2, slope of 1/2, so up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, down 1 left 2, down 1 left 2. There is my first line. Okay, second line has a y-intercept of +4, and I'm going down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. And it looks like I can see that they hit right here at this ordered pair. Even though my lines aren't perfect, I can tell that they're going to hit there. Okay, so that ordered pair is over 2, up 3. So 2, comma 3. And I'll be totally honest with you, one of the most challenging parts on this, it seems like for kids, is going from slope, where it's rise over run, rise over run, rise over run, to identifying the ordered pair. Because remember, the ordered pair is X first, which is left and right first, Y second, which is up and down second. So you go rise over run, rise over run, rise over run for slope, and then you got to go reverse and go left or right, then up or down for the ordered pair. So just make sure you're careful with that. All right, and then now let's look at 14. Okay, y-intercept of +3, slope of 1/4, so up 1 over 4, down 1 left 4. There's my first line. Second line has a y-intercept of 5, up 3 over 4. So up 3 over 4. I'm going to go off the graph. So down 3, 1, 2, 3, left 4. It's going to meet right there at that ordered pair, which that ordered pair there is -4, comma 2. Okay, any questions there? All right, you guys go ahead and try number 16 together with your groups. Okay, 16 together with your groups. Go ahead. Okay, I'm going to stop you a little short. I want adequate time because we're running out of time here. I want adequate time to explain, okay? So we talked about the idea that everything has two numbers associated with it, right? A number of items and some kind of either point value, money value, something like that. In this case, it's point value, right? When I am reading a problem, I need to make sure and answer the question. So the variables that I choose are going to match the question that is asked. So what is the question that is asked?
How many of each type of question on the test?
There you go. How many of each type of question on the test? Okay. So we have X, it tells us X, right, is the number of true false. Right? X is the number of true false. X is not the point value for true false. X is the number of true false questions. And then it tells me that Y is the number of multiple choice questions, right? So that is my first step. All I'm doing is defining my variables. Those are not my equations, okay? So I'm just defining my variables. Now that I've defined my variables, now I want to go with my equations. So again, think about the fact that we have two totals here, two numbers associated with that true, false, and multiple choice, right? We have a number of questions and we have a point value for the questions. So let's start. It doesn't matter which equation you start with, but you want to match like parts with like parts. So let's start with 20 questions. 20 questions is a total, right? So total equals everything else. So 20 equals, what are those 20 questions made up of? Yes, some true false, some multiple choice. How many true false? We don't know. That's why we are using x. X is the number of true false. Plus how many multiple choice questions? We don't know. That's why we are using y. Right? So 20 equals x plus y. And you might want to put yourself a little note. This is number of questions. Okay? All right, second equation. What's our other total? We had 20 questions. What's our other total? 100 points. So 100 equals... let me ask you a question really quick. A side question. Okay? Say you walk into a store. You buy 5 shirts and you spend $100. You buy 5 shirts, you pay $100, or you pay $100. How much did you pay? No, I said that question wrong. Let me restart. Let me back up. Rewind. Okay, erase that all from your brain. Okay, you walk into a store and you buy 4 pairs of Yeezys. Since that seems to be the topic of the day. 4 pairs of Yeezys for $200 each. Is that accurate? Probably ish. Okay, let's go with $500. Okay, you pay or you buy 4 pairs of Yeezys for $500 each. How much did you pay? $2,000. And how did you figure that out?
500 times 4 is 2,000.
Good. So cost times the number that you bought, right? In this case, we're not talking cost, we're talking point value. So if I am trying to figure out the total amount of points for all of the true-false questions, I have to do the value for each true-false question times the number of true-false questions. Okay? So how many points is each true-false question worth?
4.
Come on, guys. Focus, okay? So 4 points per question. How many true-false questions are there? What are we representing it with? X. X true-false questions. Plus, now let's do multiple choice. How much is each multiple choice question worth? 8. And then how many multiple choice questions are there? Y. So this is my point value. Okay? There are my 2 equations. How would I go through the process of graphing these? We're not going to because of time. How would I go through the process of graphing these?
I don't know, I would like to see you do it though. Would you
guys like graphing in standard form?
subtract the 8y or 8?
You want to get y by itself, right? So, okay, I'll take a minute and kind of sort of do it, okay? So on the top equation, I'm going to have to subtract x from both sides, right? So this one would be y equals 20 minus x, okay? And then my second equation, I would have to subtract 4x from both sides. So I'd have 8y equals 100 minus 4x. I divide by 8 on every piece. And I would end up with y equals, what is that?
25 over 2. No, it's not. It's 13 over 2. 13.5 over 2. No, that's not correct. I don't know what I'm doing.
Isn't it like 12.5? 12.5?
Yeah.
It's all right. You were trying. Okay. Minus 1/2 x. So then I could graph these the same way that I graphed all the problems above it. Okay. So then I graph them, but we don't have time. Okay. The important part here is that you're getting your feet wet writing a system of equations. Okay. So you want to get your feet wet writing a system of equations because this is honestly, it seems like from a teacher perspective, this is one of the things students struggle with the most out of the entire semester is writing a system of equations. Okay? Not trying to scare or intimidate you. I'm just telling you might want to take some extra care when you are looking through those kinds of problems. Okay? All right. You have a few minutes to go ahead and get started on your prep.